actually get to talk about Avalanche hockey again and not just international hockey. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. We got Big E and Rudo coming to you live as the Avs are taking on the Nashville Predators on the front half of a back-to-back. On the one hand, you have the majority of the team that hasn't played in 2 weeks. On the other hand, you have Arturi Lehkonen, who has gotten like half a week off. And on the other hand, you have the Canadians who played 36 hours ago, 40 hours ago, max maybe. So the Avs a little all over the board coming into this one.
Yeah, and if you look around the national last couple hours, there's been some weird games, and and McDavid wasn't very good. They got stomped on. What was it, 6-3, 6-2, whatever.
Sid's getting pumped in Pittsburgh right now, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just Sid did score, and then, but, I mean, still, that team is getting absolutely pumped. I don't know. I think it's a crapshoot. I think it's, you can go look at it one way where all of a sudden they're pumped, they're excited, and, they want this to rub off on their teammates or, But, I mean, we'll talk about it here in the next 30 minutes, but I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a fatigue factor, absolutely, for especially those three guys.
Well, you did say that Sid scored. The Minnesota game, Matt Boldy, who was on USA, also has 2 points in their game. They won over the Wings 4-3. So maybe there's a little something to McKinnon, Makar, Taves getting into this and coming out hot, right?
I think Larkin scored, too. I was watching. I think he was scoring when I was watching. Again, I was watching a few
2 points for him too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So it's going to go either way. They're going to be either really good or really bad. You know what I mean? And that's why I think they're going to need some help from the rest of the team. Absolutely.
Obviously, we'll get into the de-rust versus rest conversation a little bit more, but let's start here. Scott Wedgwood starting in net. It is a back-to-back, so expected Blackwood to start tomorrow. Is there any reading into that at all, or is it just it's a back-to-back and they went with Wedgwood in this one?
Yeah, who knows, right? Is he under the weather, the other one? I don't know. We'll never know, right? Sometimes they already had decided that, again, communication's key. Maybe Wedgie is – plays well again. I mean, again, not plays well. He used to play in Nashville, so I mean, obviously, maybe that's just playing against your former team. The shooters well. You feel good. I don't know. That's kind of how they went with it, and or like I said, unless somebody's sick and not sick enough to not dress, but sick where I'm not feeling good. You know what I mean? Who knows? There's a reason behind it, and they went with it, and I'm sure either way it's gonna be fine. I think he's ready to go. I think they've missed him when he was gone there for a bit. Maybe overtaxed a little bit Blackwood. Who knows? But, I think goaltending's going to have to be a key part of the Avs' success like we saw about a month ago when they were hot. And, you know what I mean? I think goaltending needs to be at the top. And that goes for any team, not just the Avalanche. That goes for any team that's wanting to go into the playoffs on a hot streak, feeling good about their game. I've never heard of a team feeling good about themselves when goaltending has been subpar. You know what I mean? It just doesn't exist, right? So I think it's Captain Obvious comment by me, but I think it starts tonight. And I think, with obviously Wedgwood coming in and, having been very good since he's been there, then missed a little bit of time and, now back. And, I think it's an important game for him. I think it's, it's in a familiar place. So I'm fine with it and looking forward to it, actually.
Even playing field a little bit. Obviously, the Avs sent 4 guys, but Forsberg was there for Nashville, as was Saros. And you talked about this a little bit while the tournament was going on. You look at someone like McKinnon, his tournament, you feel like that's something to build on. You look at someone like Saros who's playing that tournament. Could that be bad for him?
I think so, and I stand by my comment. It can build you, you know what I mean, like some momentum. It can build you up, build your game, as it can go the other way too. You know what I mean? There's some guys that had tough tournaments, and there's a few guys on Team USA. Even don't look no further. For example, like Jack Hughes. I don't think he was particularly good, but again, different role, not the same role that he gets in Jersey and the good ice and all that kind of stuff. It's different, but sometimes it can get to you, or you flip it the other way and you're like, I rubbed elbows with those guys that have, Jack Eichel, that's won a big Stanley Cup 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Maybe I should emulate a little bit of, parts of his game. Obviously, they're two different players, but it's the same thing tonight, like you said about Saros. I like him. I like him. He wasn't good. He wasn't good. I mean, the only chance Finland had was if he stood on his head, and he far from stood on his head. And Lankinen came in, and obviously Lankinen gets rewarded with that new,
weird deal,
whatever it was, like 5-year deal or whatever. I mean, looking for a job last summer. That's good on him. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Again, we're not privy to the conversations, but I think Saros. Where are they at? I mean, between you and me, we believe this. Nashville Predators are not going to be there at the dance. You know what I mean? Like again, I think it's a bit too late now. But on a game like tonight, if you're Saros, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, is it Saros? Is it announced that it's Saros, or is it?
I haven't seen yet. It could be.
It could be Eustace. I don't know. Again, revenge versus revenge. Who knows? You know what I mean? So, I'd rather see Saros, to be honest with you. I hate the old team feeling that God, I don't want that. But again, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to tonight and. Really time to get back into the groove.
Yep. Just to get into the Avs lineup, if you've been following the news, obviously more or less what you would expect. Forward core, they're sticking with Necas and McKinnon on that top line with Lehkonen. They have Druin with Middlestat and Parson. No Val Nichushkin, not ready to come back yet. A third line of Drury, Wood, and Colton, and then a fourth line of Kelly, Kiviranta, and LOC. So you feel pretty good about it. If Nichushkin steps in, you start to feel really good about that lineup. You still feel like you need to do some things at the deadline, but reasonably healthy team. You're just missing one guy on the front side and one guy on the back side, as no Josh Manson as well on the defensive end.
Yeah, and I think it's go time for some guys here. We'll talk about it a little more, but I think it's go time for some guys. If you're looking at that lineup that you just talked about, on a day like tonight, like if you're Drury, Colton, and Wood, like you're not playing against Yossi. You're not playing against the top end pairs. You know what I mean? It's time. It's time to get out there. It's time to, and Miles, congratulations. It's 500th career game for Miles Wood. That's a lot of games. That is something you shouldn't take lightly. That's again, is it a McKinnon career? No, but it's a fantastic career. You know what I mean? Most people dream of playing 500 games in the National Hockey League. So he's going to be pumped tonight, but I talk about it all the time. Ross has got, 2 assists this year or whatever it is. Like at some point, those guys, 3. So those guys have to produce. You got to produce, especially on a night like I've told you before. You play against 5th and 6th Ds. There's a big difference. You know what I mean? And at some point, you got to challenge yourself, and you got to get out there, and you got to produce and help out offensively.
Yeah, they're gonna need the additional help with the depth production. I suspect that might have something to do with your 3 keys. I don't know if you stayed away from it, but let's get into those. Let's hear your 3 keys for the Avs' return to action here.
Yeah, I kept it very simple. Obviously, nothing to base it on, right? But it's gas pedal right away. It's the long, skinny one on the right side, right? You just press it. And don't look back. Don't wait to dictate the pace. Just dictate it right away. Right away. Don't let for the game to come to you. I'm not saying the force plays. I'm saying the force pace. There's a big difference. Establish a forecheck. No turnovers. Get in there. I'm talking about Wood, Colton, Drury. Let's go. Establish your presence right away. And then use your speed. The Avalanche are a fast team. Use your speed. No need to play on the brakes. No need to just ease things in and, let's figure it out. We've been off for 10 days. No, it's opposite. You should be flying, and let's go from the drop of the puck. Number 2, follow the leaders. There's no rust there. No rust for number 7. I was going to say number 5 because Four Nations was number 5. No rust for 7 and 8 and 29. Again, I do believe they'll be flying. I do believe that. I honestly do. McKinnon's a freak. We all know Makar's a freak. And again, we always never really talk about the ice time for Taze, but man, oh man, he's always up there as well. Those 3 guys are freaks. But if fatigue sets in, you got to help them out. You got to help them out, even if fatigue doesn't set in. But at some point, if it does set in, like, you can't let those guys carry the game. Again, challenge yourself and go and help out. It's going to take 100% teamwork effort tonight. Very important that everybody gets involved early. Get a hit, take a hit, get yourself going. Don't take silly penalties. You don't want guys sitting there. You haven't played in 2 weeks, whatever it is, and you got to sit on the bench because you don't play special teams. It's not a fun way to start, especially on the road. And number 3, playoff habits. Bednar talks about it all the time. He talked about it at length in training camp. Right now, this is, for me, the final push. You and me talked about it before the break. The final push is here, and it's starting tonight. The keys to success down the stretch is your habits. There's no ifs and buts. There's no excuses. You got to get in there, and sometimes you got to figure out your habits in all 3 zones. You got to figure out your game in the sense that if there's nothing there, you can't be stubborn with it. There's no excuses. You got to get in there and figure it out, and figure it out quick in games, and you can't fall asleep for a period. And again, you mix everything in with this, obviously, the strong goaltending that we've been getting overall, and then let's get those, obviously, we don't get in the 3 keys, but those special teams in order, and let's rock and roll. This should be a fun night. Again, I don't believe in like rust. Make it rusty for 2 shifts, great. Then dump the puck in, go hit the body, go feel good about yourself, and then get back to your game. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear like, oh, it took a half a game. You know what I mean? Like, no, let's go. You don't have a half a game. We got to get going. Points are important.
We already talked about it earlier, right? Minnesota already won today. So if you want to make that final push, you got to go out and keep up with them and try and track them down. So that's, look, we also kind of alluded to it. Yeah, those star players should be going. All the other teams that have had players at them seem like their players are performing. It's not so much tonight that I'm worried about the fatigue for those guys. It's tomorrow's game that you're looking at those stars and going, they're going to be struggling. But tonight they should be okay, you would think. With that being said, though, how much let me ask you this 2 different ways. For the guys that have had time off, how much D-rust is there really? Because they've had, 4 or 5 days of practice now, right? So I know there's no replacement for an NHL game, but really they shouldn't be that rusty, right?
Yeah, it's not the summer, where you're off for months. They were off for days, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you know what? Hopefully they use that rest to their advantage, to get themselves physically ready for the push, get themselves mentally ready for the push. You talked about it yesterday. You nailed it on the head. Their schedule's very favorable coming up here, you know what I mean, with lots of home games and a 6-gamer. And I do believe that you shouldn't have any excuse built into your game tonight. Drop of the puck, you got to get going. And you're right. As much as tonight is the game in front of you, it is a Sega Baba tomorrow. And then for those 3 Canadians that won, it's a Sega Baba plus a 3 and 4, which makes it very deadly. You know what I mean, for them tomorrow. So why not give it all you got today? Why not take the lead? Why not have a nice lead where Makar doesn't have to play 30 minutes? You know what I mean? And you're right. You know what I mean? And that's the way you do it. That's teamwork. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, don't worry. Though, guys like that are gonna be grateful too. To look down the bench and say, you know what? Thank you, fellas. Let's go. Let's keep it up. You know what I mean? It's awesome. And as much as you want to be out there, sometimes you don't need to be out there for 30 minutes and really tax yourself out for the next 3 days, So let's go as a team tonight. Let's make sure we all eat our carrots and are ready to go. You know what I mean? And there's no excuse and no rust. And I don't want to hear the word rust after the game. I really don't.
So let me ask you from the other side then. For Makar and Taves, there's not really an adjustment because guess what? They were with their same pairing mate at the tournament, so whatever. But for McKinnon, he goes from Crosby and McDavid as his regular line mates to Necas and Lehkonen. Now, don't get me wrong. Necas and Lehkonen are great, but they're not Crosby and McDavid. Is there a bit of an adjustment there that needs to be made for McKinnon, or can he kind of play the same way? Certainly, from what I saw, I would love to see the shooting version of Nathan McKinnon that put 4 goals in the net in that tournament.
Yeah, and you would think McKinnon would be more shooting with Lecky, for example, instead of Crosby. I mean, no
Yeah.
offense to Lecky, but wanting to just give the puck, and guys are so unselfish, and so maybe it's something that he's decided during the break. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I want to shoot more, which we all know he should shoot more.
Yep.
Um, Again, the way I look at it is those guys are elite. They can play with anybody, and they're so used to jumping into and double shifting sometimes because they got to go get a goal. So they're used to playing with different bodies. The only thing, like I tell you, and I'm a big believer in it, is lefty righties. You know what I mean? Marty's a
True.
righty.
Yeah.
McKinnon and Crosby were lefties. So you just got to get yourself back into the groove if you're laying it into a soft area for someone to just kind of come on in and one time it, like, you got to know who's a lefty, who's a righty, all that kind of stuff. So I think, but you know what, guys like that are so elite, and they can play with anybody. And I think that you're right on the back end. Kale and Devontae's are going to have no issues, because that's what they've been doing their whole careers basically
Yeah.
together. And but on the front side, like on the forward side, like I don't anticipate Mac having an issue. And again, Mac was so good, won the MVP of the some of the best players in the world. So how about could just keep doing the same thing you were doing because it worked. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you
Yep.
get that going the next 20, Rudo, what is it, 27 left, 26? I mean, I don't remember.
25.
25. Get going like that the next 25. Boy, oh boy, you're golden. The Avalanche are golden.
I
Get
mean,
that mindset.
Mac is sitting on 21 goals right now. I think a realistic goal for him should be 35.
Oh, 100%. I agree.
More than
I
every other
agree.
game down the stretch, you'd like to see McKinnon put one in the net.
And we love his point production. That's not what we're saying. We're not
No.
idiots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're saying at times, I do believe his point production would be bigger if he shot a shot mentality was
Mm-hmm.
better this year than it's been. You know what I mean? And he
Yep.
wouldn't be at 21. Like he's got what, 22, and he's missed like 15 games. You know what I mean? Like, it's Lecky. God, we love him. Good stick Lecky, but he's not Nathan McKinnon. You know what I mean? So
And let's be honest, the place where this is the most glaring, was starting to get better before the break, the Avs power play. Nathan McKinnon's got to be a goal scorer on the Avs power play in particular. It's where he's got to make some hay.
yeah, I agree with you. And it starts with you just said it. Shoot the puck. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, it's awesome, that little pass there, great, awesome. Shoot 3, 4 times, and if it doesn't work, then it will spread things out. Then it will open up that little pass there to the bumper
Yep.
or whatever, the seam pass, or at some point. Again, we're telling the leading scorer in the National Hockey League, MVP of the Four Nations, what to do. No, I think anybody would tell him what to do right now, where he would have a little more production, and the Avalanche would have a better percentage on the power play. Is for Nate to shoot the puck a bit more. You know what I mean? And again, he did it the last 10 days, and it seemed to have worked for him. What did he lead the tournament in goals too? Like 4 or 5, whatever. So,
Good
in order,
four.
I mean, yeah. Somebody at 5, I'm not sure.
I
But anyway, he's pretty near the top. That means you shot the puck, right? Can't get
yeah,
0 if you don't shoot, or Yari Curry,
true.
right? Never on, never in. So, um, yeah. Well, I think McKinnon will be more than fine. And for me, it's more let's make it a game where the guys don't have to play 30 minutes.
Hey,
That's my wish.
and look, you should have an opportunity to do that. Nashville remains one of the lowest scoring teams in the NHL this year. They do not put the puck in the net very well. They don't give up a crazy amount of goals, but they're not particularly good defensively either. This is a bad Nashville team this year, and you should be able to take advantage of them. Their power play, not any good. So the special teams battle should be something that the Avs, it should go in their favor if they play up to their ability. Uh, if I'm being honest, there aren't even a ton of guys on this Nashville team that you're really worried about. Like, yeah, at the top they've got some dangerous guys with Forsberg, Stamkos, but it hasn't clicked for them. And then, frankly, they're kind of lacking depth as a team. They have a bunch of guys that they don't really know what they're doing with down there. As much as I love Phil Tomasino, um, it's a team that hasn't clicked this year, and it's an opportunity for the Avs to kick off this last stretch run the right way. So I hope they can pull it off.
Yeah, and somebody was talking about hoping to see Val on tonight. Yeah, I think we all are. We all were expected to I was looking forward to after the break seeing him in a regular practice, and not the case, not the case. So what do? Opportunity knocks for somebody else, and you got to get going. And Val, it sounds like he's imminent. It doesn't sound like, again, who knows? He was almost playing a month ago. Next thing you know, he's still not playing. So I don't know. Obviously, something went backwards there, but yeah, he's a big piece of the offense, big piece of. But what does that tell you? Then, if you're somebody like Parsinen, or I love saying that name, Parsinen, then you're, maybe your days are numbered. So I mean, at some point, you got to start counting. I always tell you all the time, like you can't analyze. No, but you can certainly count. You know what I mean? Like, oh, another guy's coming. Someone's getting out. Who's getting out? Is it me? Yeah, I don't know. But they can make decisions, right?
Yep.
So I think it forces you to do that. And I think that's very important for guys like that here. They don't have time to wait. The Parsonens of the world. You got to go and show it.
I mean, this is kind of it, right? This last break is a chance to get a mental reset, but the Miles Woods, the Ross Colton you mentioned, the Parsonens, even someone like a Casey Middlestat, this is your last real mental reset for the season. It's full go. Yes, the Avs schedule looks good, but you still need to be locked in for this part of the season, and you need to show what you can do, because if you don't earn it now, you probably ain't going to have the opportunity to earn it in the playoffs.
Nope. And again, trade deadline's around the corner too. So.
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. Let's bust out the crystal ball again. You almost had the final correct in the Four Nations. You were close. Yeah.
Randy had the right team. Here's what I'm thinking tonight. Eustace is in. Wedgwood is in. I think both goalies will be good. The old former team, whatever you call that, bump or whatever.
Ex-player curse.
Ex-player curse. But I think the Avs walk away with this one 5-2. Maybe an empty netter in there. Again, I'm going to be stupid. Necas goes off again.
I like it.
And I'm going this. There you go.
The triple? The triple? Okay. I'm here for it.
I feel like it.
Goals.
Just taking it.
I like it. I do. I like that choice. Let's. I took the over. Spoiler alert. So I like Cujo's answer there. The 5-2. He basically copied me right there. 5-2, Nature's hat trick.
No, we said it at the same time. I was reading it. Maybe he thinks I copied him, but either way, Cujo, we're right. We got the same.
You're both looking at the same crystal ball. I like the 5-2. Yep. I am gonna take a different guy though. I'm gonna say that it's Lehkonen. That I don't know about Hattie, but I'm gonna say Lehkonen gets 2. I think he did not have the best Four Nations. Not that that's his fault necessarily. That Finland team was doing some weird stuff. Yeah, there you go. Only 2 for Lecky. Only 2 for the good stick. He's got to stay hot. You want to see him keep that ridiculous goal scoring he's been up. If he can do that, you feel pretty good about this stretch of the season for the Avs for sure. I do think it'll be interesting though. I want to see Wedgwood have a good game. Obviously, he had the break, but he had another week or 2 before that where he was day-to-day. So he's been out for like 3 weeks or so since his last actual played game. So I would like to see him get in and look good, give the Avs some confidence in net. Look, we've seen it. When the Avs are confident in their goaltending, they play better. That's just the truth this year. And there's no reason for them not to be confident with the 2 they have back there, but you just still want to see it when you really get down to it. We do have my pregame picks with Bet365, where things are never ordinary. I took the Avs to cover. Good money there. Honestly, plus 180 for them to cover. I took that over, and I took the Nature's power play point. It's at plus 270 right now. That's good money for Marty to get a power play point. So you might want to get on that one. That's my recommendation, is the Marty power play point if you have to pick one there. Of course, tons of other great bets over at Bet365 on the Avs or on the Predators or on whatever you want to bet on. Of course, when you do gamble with Bet365, make sure you're 21 or older, physically located in Colorado, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. As we're winding down the pregame here, you take a look at a game like this. Is there any fear that the Avs might overlook this one? Are they looking at St. Louis? Are they looking at some of the bigger games coming up a little bit later on the schedule, like Minnesota at the end of the week? Or does the break make it easier for them to just focus on today?
No, you know what? I think that's the coaching staff, and I think they do a wonderful job, as you know. And it's like stop overlooking games, stop looking away at different teams, and this is a game we got to have because it sets the tone for the rest of the 25 games, and you can't have a great 25 games or a perfect 20. The goal is to have a perfect 25 games. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But I think that's your goal. And then you got to start. It starts on the right foot on the first game, which is tonight. And you can't overlook the Nashville Predators. Again, it's still a tough building to play in. It's still a tough environment. I'm excited. I do believe they come out swinging. I don't feel bad about it. I feel good about it. And maybe you got a little homework for chat too, like maybe after the game we can talk about on the post game, but maybe put your little scouting hat on, like a little scouting hat on tonight and, look for, maybe a little Ryan O'Reilly, because we've been talking about it. Just, just kind of keep an eye out for that, see what your thoughts are. And, the Avs are going to be looking at that as well, and oh yeah, what is this something again, they might not even be looking at them, but I'm saying that's something we can have a little fun with after the game and see what what the thoughts are.
Yeah, you got that. I'll give you a little more homework too. Probably not a fit for the Avs, but Gus Nyquist, expiring UFA this year, is on a lot of trade boards, so someone to keep an eye on. If you're really down bad for a defenseman, Andreas Englund, Justin Barron, both at the bottom of this decor.
Yeah,
I don't know that those make a ton of sense for the Avs, if I'm being honest, but they are options. I'll leave it at that.
And Joey, Joey Cody there. If it happens, you're my idol. I'm gonna die. I mean, it's gonna be unbelievable. Wedgwood somehow scores a goal. That would be unbelievable. It's an unusual call. If it happens, I will be so pumped. You never know. Never know.
If it happens, it'll a shirtless post game for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's your shirt's off for sure. You might even shave your beard live on the show.
I'll do it. Yeah. If a
I'll
goalie goal,
that's fine.
I'll shave my beard live for a goalie goal. Absolutely.
That'd be unreal.
Yep. Avs did have 3 Four Nations winners. Hopefully they can win tonight. And, we all do get to root for the same team again for exactly 1 calendar year until the Olympics happen. So enjoy it while it lasts. It's been a fun one. The break is officially over. We got Avalanche hockey back around. We have this little road trip for them. Excited for them to get through this road trip and get back home for a long homestand too. So it'll be fun for us. We'll be back in the bar next week. We got a bunch of awesome stuff planned. Really looking forward to it. So keep your eyes peeled out there. We are going to wrap up this pregame show though. We appreciate all y'all hanging out. Watch along coming your way. And of course, at very least, join us for the post game where we'll break it all down no matter what happens. So we will see you hopefully in a couple minutes. But until then, enjoy the game. This has been the DNVR Avalanche podcast or even pregame show.
We all